All right. Well, this is episode 57 of Indecisive Cinema. I'm Jeremy Knight,
And I'm Carlos Hernandez.
and we're back. As you can see, I'm in a new setup. It's been a
Yeah, nice.
whirlwind of a month. Marissa and I moved
Serious.
into a house about 5 minutes down the road from the old place.
Mhm.
We're happy to have some extra room and no neighbors banging on the ceiling. And I've got my own office now, which is really nice,
Nice.
and still
Yeah.
filling it in, but we're just able to have a little more customization over the space and just a little more room. So I'm very excited about that. But we're also completely exhausted. So
I'll bet, man.
it's been fun, but I'm definitely
Did
ready
you
for
get
some
a movie
normalcy.
company or you guys did it on your own?
We hired movers because
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, it took us. We're still moving.
Yeah.
We're not done unpacking everything yet. Most of
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
no.
wall art and like hanging stuff.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean, it's taken us. This is day 8, I think.
yeah.
Um, so if we hadn't hired movers, we would still be moving stuff out of
Oh,
the
yeah,
apartment.
yeah.
There's just no way.
Last time we moved, I had movers. I couldn't do it. I said, we're going to hire movers. So
Yeah,
that's
I
the
mean
way.
they moved everything in 3 hours.
Oh, shit.
So
Good. Good, good.
they wrapped it all up like they saran wrap all of it.
Holy cow.
I mean,
Nice.
dude,
Huh.
they like there's a company that we've used 3 times now. We've moved so many times. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
tired of moving, man. But it's like I think it's 3 men movers. They're like based in the Houston area, and they just do a fantastic. They just really like protect all the stuff, like all
Yeah.
cabinets and anything that could be scuffed or like ruined in any way. They wrap up and pad. They like bring the bed bag to the
Damn.
mattress protector. Like
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
have all that stuff, and like I feel like we just don't. We just point and tell them where to put stuff, and they just do it. And they're so fast. So last time they had to go up 3 flights of stairs
Damn.
when
I
we
know,
moved in.
right?
Yeah, so this is a lot smoother for
Yeah,
sure. But
right. I'll bet.
the elevator did work this time. Thank the Lord. But yeah, so we're I don't know, we're glad to be mostly settled in. I mean, still we got a lot of stuff we've had to go out. We just went out and like an hour ago finishing up setting up like all our patio furniture and stuff. So
Oh, okay.
it's just one thing at a time. But
Yeah, amen.
what have
Amen.
you been up to, man? What have you been doing?
I don't know, since the last time, mostly working a lot of overtime, going thrifting, with Rhonda, hanging out with the girls. We've been going, like I said, I've been going to movies with the girls a lot on Tuesdays and like I said, we saw a bunch of movies. And then recently me and Rhonda went to Cinemark and we saw a bunch of movies. So that's what I've been doing. I like like watching movies. If I'm not watching a movie, I'm working overtime till like 8 or 9 o'clock. So
Oof,
that's what I've
that's
been
brutal.
doing. Yeah.
But hey, money's nice, so
Amen.
yeah.
That's what I tell Rhonda. Money's good.
Overtime has its benefits for sure.
Amen. Amen.
Um, well, that's good to hear. There's been a lot of good movies out. We've got more to talk about than we've had all year, I feel like, but it's also been a couple weeks. So I
Yeah.
did want to make one quick announcement, which but in this hiatus, I actually was able to add all of the episodes of Indecisive Cinema to Spotify and Apple Music,
Yes.
both in video and audio form. So if you
Nice.
want
Nice.
to watch, most of them are audio up
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it
No,
was
Gloriana told me that
45 or
she
something.
listens to it on Spotify, so that's good.
Yeah, we had one video episode, which I think was like episode 20, and we did it like at your old apartment, I
Old
think.
place. Yeah.
And I was like, this is way too much work to be able to practically do this every time. So most of them are audio, other than like the
Audio.
ones
Yeah.
we've done on Zoom since we came back this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that those are all up there. It's just easier. YouTube's great, but I do think have more people use Spotify and Apple Music
Spotify. Yeah.
than
Definitely.
YouTube,
Definitely.
at least when you're in the car and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
excited that those are up there, and I will be adding everything going forward up there, and it's free, which is
Yeah.
I love
That's the
that.
best part. Free
I
for
think for the
me.
longest time, because the reason we weren't on Spotify and Apple Music is because I had to pay for it,
Pay
and I was
for
like,
it.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to pay for a podcast we do once a year. But it is still good to be back and
Good. Yes. Amen.
have all that catalog up there for people to listen when they choose to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so yeah, we're back officially with episode 57. I've got a
57.
ton of television. That's actually what I've watched most of in the
Yeah. No, you're
past
telling me.
month.
Yeah.
I've seen Beef season 1 and 2,
Mm.
Adolescence, Marissa and I watched. We're working on The Pit, but I'm not going to give my thoughts on that quite yet. But I do really like it so far. We're not quite done
Yeah.
with season one.
It's a really good season one.
And then both you and I have seen Obsession and Backrooms, so that'll be kind of
Yes,
the bigger. We'll probably do spoilers for those. We'll
yes.
give a warning though when we get to spoilers. And then you saw Michael, the Breadwinner, Mandalorian
Breadwinner. We saw
Grogu.
Star Wars. We saw Scary Movie. We saw
Oh, you did
the
see Scary
Sheep
Movie.
Detective.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, the Sheep Detective. We saw. Yeah, so,
Yeah, you saw a ton of stuff.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Sheep
Well,
Detective actually looked kind of cute.
it is. It's really good. It was my favorite of all the movies we saw this past weekend. Yeah.
Oh wow. I like that the chicken crossing the road.
No, and
The trailer.
there's a lot of jokes like that that are very subtle but genius. I love
Very
those.
dumb, very
Pretty
silly,
sure
but
kids
really
won't
fun.
understand it, but yeah, adults would love it.
And I think the trailer ends when he's like cluck 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 cluck, or something. It's just a good. It's a really dumb, fun soundbite to end the trailer.
Yeah, but it's
Which
good. We
normally
enjoyed
I'd
that.
roll
It's
my
very
eyes at that kind of
emotional.
comedy, but
It was emotional too, which I kind of dug, but it was also good. And it's like I didn't see I didn't see like the whole mystery because it's a mystery story, and it was good. Like I didn't catch it till the end. Like I knew who then the bad guy might have been or the killer, but I was surprised at who it was at the end. Like like in Clue, it's like when you find out
nice.
who it was, you're like, holy shit! So
It's
they
still
did that really well.
subversive, even for a silly
Yeah, for a silly
cheap movie.
family comedy, but even though it's more
Yeah.
adult oriented, but yeah. But yeah, we saw that. Um, I mean, if you want me to give like thoughts real quick on all of them,
Let me do the TV to get that out of the
yes,
way
yeah, yeah, yeah,
first,
yeah. Do
and then
so.
we'll do all movies. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'll make it quick. I mean, you've seen Beef. Have you seen Adolescence as well, or no?
Which one was Adolescence?
Adolescence is the one where the kid is accused of murder.
That's
It's
yes, that's
British.
the
It's
one
the
on
one,
Netflix. Yes, yeah, yeah.
yeah, the Netflix one. Yeah.
Yes, I
So,
did. I did.
you
Very,
have seen
very,
that.
very good. Very good.
So
Yes.
we'll I guess I won't give spoilers for season two of Beef because you've seen it, but we are going to do spoilers for season one and for
Yes.
Adolescence. So if you haven't seen either of them, I highly recommend the first season of Beef.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
it's
it's
an amazing
fantastic. I think it's like just a masterful piece of television.
television. Yeah.
Season two, I can't say the same, but there's a lot to like there, but I think it completely fumbles the ending. But that's about all I have to say about it. I mean, you get 8 episodes of Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan, which is great. But then I
Yeah.
think
Great actors.
the script is like borderline unfinished. I don't. It's very bizarre the drop off and just the standard of quality of the
Yeah.
second season of that show. But good
Interesting.
cast though. Still, it's still entertaining, but it just
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, season one though
Oh, it's
is
an
just
amazing.
like this amazing subversive piece
Yeah.
of like comedic, dramatic television. I just think it does this thing where just not only from a plot standpoint, it'll set up things that in a traditional show you would go, oh no, that like you see something happen and you go, oh no, now the house is gonna burn, she's gonna burn the house down, right? For
Yeah.
instance,
Yeah.
as later in the show, and you're like, oh no, that's a bit, but then it's not that. It's
Exactly.
never
Yeah.
what you think it's gonna be, and it's not just the plot, but just the way it like establishes expectations of what's going to happen and then just pulls the rug out in really fun and creative ways. That one in particular, it ends up being his fault for wiring
Well,
the house poorly. And you're
house.
like,
Yeah.
what a dumb, fun way to tie that thread up. But again, it sets it up as a traditional narrative swing
Yeah.
that you in every other lesser show, it would be the obvious thing. And in this, it's far more nuanced, and that's it does that so often in the show.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's one of those rare shows where like even the worst of characters are somehow not only likable but also just very memorable at the very least, and it
Yeah,
balances such a
Stephen
unique
Wynn
tone.
is so good in that. I mean,
Who
so is
is
Ali
Steven Yeun?
Wong.
They're
They,
both fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're amazing. I'm surprised they didn't win any friggin' awards that year. It's so good.
I mean, it really just fantastic performances and a
Yeah.
very difficult material. Also, I think
Yes.
the one thing that comes to note is that scene where Stephen Yoon is at the church and he's like crying while listening to the worship music, and
Yeah.
he's both putting on a performance but also having an emotional connection with it, even though he's not connecting with it in the way that everyone else is. It's
Else.
very
Yeah.
that's such a specific piece of performance and conceptual scene construction. Again, they're often playing two roles in their
Yeah.
personal lives and and with others. When Ali Wong is trying to like convince the rich artist to buy her
But
she's like playing a character. She's like performing in a way to
Yeah,
her,
yeah.
and they're never truly themselves until the very end. I think that's just a really great, just emotional arc of like accepting who you are and in its
Yeah.
flawed, messy sense of self. And then, I think there's a moment in the middle of the show, which I think is so brilliant, where I think it kind of predicts the ending, if anything, but
Yeah.
not in a bad way, where they're sitting parked next to each other in a parking lot,
In
like
the
late at
parking
night,
lot. It's a great
and
scene.
they're arguing, and then somebody comes up and is like, "Hey, you guys can't park there," and they're like, "Why don't you shut the fuck
Shut the
up?" Like they
fuck
both
up.
start yelling at the guy, and you're like, "These two are the same person." I think
Exactly. It's like this.
it's just a great moment of like recognition of exactly why these people are where they are, and they have the same flaws.
Yes.
It's a brilliant
It is an
illustration
amazing
of that
scene. I love
idea.
that scene.
And then we bring that full circle with the finale, which I think is great, where they both
Yeah.
get stranded in the desert and come to understand one another as the same.
Yes.
And there's this melding of personas, if nothing else. I don't know how you describe that sequence where they both do mushrooms by accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their stories start to weave together on screen, and as they come to the conclusion that they are the same, one and the same.
It's one and the same.
Flawed and and admirable in certain ways. It's just but it's also hilarious
Yeah. Very funny. Very
and really
funny.
intense, and there's just these great moments of misunderstanding and de-escalation. And like there's a scene where I think it's when he goes to the garage of, I think it's the guy who the worship leader who he like,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's that scene anyway. He like goes to like beat him up in his own garage, and he's like, and then finds out that that's not at all. He didn't do what he thought he did or something. I
Exactly.
forget. And he's like, "What you did was not nice." Is such a funny line, and it's just this great moment of like, it's like there's like an escalating scene of violence, and then just a complete de-escalation. And then I don't know. It's just it really finds this unique tone. It feels so fresh, and it's stressful, and it's just a show about really flawed, fucked up characters
Fuck
in a
the
way that
parrot. Yeah.
reminds me of something like the Safdie brothers, or
Yeah.
maybe a little less intense, but because it has more of a comedic edge to a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I love a show about fucked up characters whose actions entirely contribute to their own
To
downfall.
their own downfall. Yeah.
Um, I do think the last episode where they kind of conveniently get everybody in the same house, I think it's the second to last episode. I think is a
Yeah.
little like contrived, but I do like the scene in the whole sequence in the desert, and
Desert.
the way I love the ending. I love the scene of the shot in the hospital bed, and I just think it's a really fresh, memorable piece of cinematic television that I
Television.
really think stands on its own as one of the better seasons of TV I've seen in a long time. So
Yeah.
anyway, Beef season 1, season 2 solid for about 5 or 6 episodes, and I
And
think it
then it drops
completely
off.
loses its way. But that doesn't mean it's not entertaining. I feel like
Yeah.
tonally it's more like White Lotus, but it's like a lesser version of White Lotus, and I think the plot just gets out of control. There's this whole
Control.
there's this whole tangent where they like go to I think it's like Seoul or something. I forget where they go, but it's like they go overseas, and it's just a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense why they're all there. It does the same thing as the first season in terms of just
Mhm.
in a contrived manner getting all your characters to the same place, but it's like you could just do it in America, and I think it would be cleaner plot wise, and it goes off the rails. But
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac is fantastic in it, and so is Carey Mulligan, and I forget her name from Alien Romulus. She's also great.
Oh yeah.
And the guy from Warfare,
Warfare. Yeah. Yeah. He's
he's
cool.
he's actually one of my favorite characters in the show.
Yeah.
He's just a brain dead, kid who peaked in high school kind of character. Very similar to the nephew in the first season,
In the first season. Yeah.
played by the guy who's in Leftovers, or not Last of Us. Sorry,
Last of Us.
I forget his name, but yeah, he's good in that also. The younger brother of
Yeah.
Stephen Yeun's character.
But it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're gonna talk about the pit. I felt the same way about the pit. Like that last episode, it's almost anticlimactic, and it's such an amazing piece of television. And then it's like that last episode, you're like, what? But
I
maybe
haven't seen
that's
it yet.
when you see it, we'll talk about it. But
Yeah,
I
we
think
can do.
maybe
I mean,
it's
we're gonna
being
finish
who
it in like a day.
maybe,
I
but
feel like. We're getting
Yeah,
close. We're burning through it. It's such a fantastic medical
yeah.
drama. I feel like I haven't seen a medical drama that good in
Oh yeah,
decades.
no. Since I don't even know when ER maybe or the first couple
Ah,
seasons
yeah.
of ER. Yeah.
But it just the way it weaves like the personal stories and
Yes.
just
Yeah.
the ADHD component of trying to have a personal life or just be a person inside of an environment that's so chaotic and
Yeah.
constantly pulling you in 14 different directions. I think the way that it portrays that environment through the lens of the Robbie character,
Yeah. Really.
I think it just who's just kind of this like glue. He's like this. Patient glue that ties it all together. And yeah, I think it's very. I think we just finished episode 9 though of season 1, so we've still got quite a ways to go.
Yeah.
But very just top notch TV for sure.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really,
No,
really good.
definitely. And the acting's amazing. All these actors, I was just. It's just like some of them known, but a lot of them are young people who
Mhm.
we don't really know, and they're really good. I'm like,
And I think
can't
you'll
wait.
see a lot of them in other things because
Yeah, I
of
was
the
gonna say I
show. I mean,
can't wait
it's
to see them in other things. Yeah, definitely.
the other one that I saw was Adolescence, which I don't have as much to say about. It's a 4-part Netflix series,
Yeah.
mini series. Um, It's 4 distinct chapters that are very different from one another.
Yeah.
And I think it's essentially for those that haven't seen it, it's about a is it 12-year-old boy? Or no, he's a little older than that,
I
maybe.
think he was 14, 13 or
14,
14.
something somewhere in that range. An adolescent teen that is accused of. I mean, the opening sequence, the it's not the FBI because it's in Britain, but
Yeah.
whatever police force breaks down his front door
Yeah.
and essentially arrests him early in the morning in a kind of a very chaotic and disruptive sequence, which I think is
Yeah.
brilliant. And then takes him to to jail to charge him, and I think it's done, which I think I mean, this was talked about a lot when the show came out. I knew a lot about the production of this because of the buzz that it got of like, oh, they did the whole thing in oneer,
One. Yeah. One. Yeah.
and so every episode is a true oneer,
Yeah.
which is fine. I think I mean, when it came out and I heard all about that discourse, I was like, is the show any good though? I mean, I think ultimately the oneer's fine, but if it's not actually elevating the material, which I think there's an argument to be made that I think it does one of two things. It does allow you to feel a sense of place, and like it does help you feel like you're in the shoes of the characters in a way
Yeah.
that
Of course. Yeah.
in real time that I think you wouldn't achieve with a traditional, narrative structure. But I also think it does the unfortunate reality of that method of filming is I think you have a lot of normal structured scenes that when you would normally splice them together, you just cut from a character walking from a room to the other room, and you
Yeah.
cut away from whatever it was that they were doing, and you consolidate all that time with one, standard transition. It's not even a transition. You just cut from one shot to
Cut
another,
to.
and
Yeah.
the next scene happens, right? Whereas in this show, you have a lot of in between sequences where people are walking up stairwells, or he's getting fingerprinted, and in real life they would fingerprint every finger, so you have to sit there and watch
Yeah.
them
What's that?
fingerprint all 10 fingers, and you're like, all right, like let's just not write that scene in the show. There's definitely some things like that where you're like, it's both impressive, and I think it gives it a sense of place and time in terms of these events unraveling. But I also don't think it really adds much to the overall,
Yeah.
other than being technically impressive, which it is.
Yeah. It
Um,
is. I give it that.
but and I think the last 2 episodes it serves almost no purpose in.
I agree. It's also anticlimactic. I mean, it's kind of tense in the opening, and then it kind of fizzles out toward the end. Yeah.
I really like the last 2 episodes, mostly because I think it does feel anticlimactic in a way that feels refreshing of
Yeah.
sorts. In
Yeah.
my opinion, I think and this is a major spoiler for the show. I think the revelation that he was guilty is
Yeah. He
interesting.
did
It's
it.
more interesting to me just
Yeah.
than being some subversive. It's like it
Yeah.
isn't. It's more of an exploration of his adolescent brain developing and being influenced by external belief systems, and
Yeah.
I think there's an interesting exploration of masculinity through the lens of a teenage
Yeah. With the
boy.
dad and everything. I thought that was interesting too. Yeah.
Well, and I think it is subversive though in a way that it does hint at the fact that maybe the father was the reason for it, but in reality,
Exactly.
it wasn't the case. And I think
Yeah,
that's
that's what I
really
felt.
interesting.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, yeah. So
Because ultimately, every other show would have the spin where it was like, oh, it wasn't actually him. It was the best friend that
yeah,
it
somebody
does.
else.
It
Yeah,
sets
yeah,
up those ideas a lot like every other show would. And
yeah.
then it just inevitably was what you thought it was. And I think that in itself is interesting. I don't know if the presentation of all that material is the most effective as it
Uh-huh.
could be. But I do think like I really like the episode where it's just him and the
The
psychologist,
psychology. Yeah,
the
that's
third part. I think
amazing.
that's a really great. It
Very
reminds
tense.
me of
Very well.
something that
Yeah,
Fincher would do, like in
yeah,
Mindhunter, or in. I mean, I think it's a really interesting exploration of the psychology of that uh,
yeah.
teenager, child, and
Agreed.
the manosphere and all that just that stuff's I think really fascinating. And I think if you were to do this, like, oh no, it's actually this person. It's more like investigative in terms
Yeah.
of like who like solving the crime. I think it would lose this human exploration of psychology that the last even just like with the family, like how it's impacted them and
Yeah.
the father and mother wondering how this could have happened, like how
Yeah.
we didn't raise him like this. It's not like there were no warning signs of this kind of rage or anger. I mean, there are no red flags. What do we do wrong? That's
Yeah.
interesting, even
Yeah.
though it is intimate and quiet and often uh what's the word, plotting. I think the school episode too is actually where the one shot take
Shot
really
take. Yeah,
works.
really worked. Yeah.
I because but then like in episode one you have this great opening sequence and then they get in a vehicle and you drive with them to the police
With
station
the
and you're like,
yeah, that's right.
all right, like it's cool, but it's like we could cut down 5 minutes of this transition here. But in the school sequence, though, I think you have it. It weaves through like the faculty and the students, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I see how. And I love the ending where they get it on a drone or a crane or whatever and take it over to the memorial. I think it's got really great moments, but I think
Yeah.
ultimately I think it is a failure of its own design in ways as well.
Interesting. Yeah.
But an interesting introspective humane look at a case like this in a way
Yeah.
that I think
Yeah.
at least felt fresh because it was different from everything else we've seen in that like true crime genre in recent years.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my thoughts on Adolescence. I don't know if it's hard to recommend because I don't think it quite achieves what the true crime audience is looking
What
for as
is
far
looking
as
for?
like
Yeah.
dramatic television, but I do think if you're looking for something that's more intimate in its portrayal of that concept, I think there's something to chew on there.
Yeah. This.
Um,
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
but like I think it lost Marissa. I don't think she was super engaged in the back half. So
Yeah.
I for what that's worth, I enjoyed it enough and thought it was pretty strong overall. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll work for everyone else. So anyway, that's Adolescence. I don't know if we're going to get a second season of that. I think
Oh
it's
no,
supposed to
no,
be a
not at all.
standalone thing,
Yeah,
which
it's a
I'm fine with.
standalone. Yeah.
You saw, let's do Michael, the Breadwinner, Mandalorian, and Grogu. Let's just kind of hit that list. So start with
Yeah.
Michael.
So, real quick with Michael, it's interesting because like I said, I mean, for a film that is a biopic. I don't want to say biopic. It's really well done because it did dive deep into him as a younger person.
Sure.
You get that story and you actually feel like, there's been a few movies about Michael Jackson, but,
Yeah.
Coleman Domingo is amazing as Joe Jackson. And, it creates a sense like that's why he is who he was. And and this is not a spoiler, but it ends at a point where you're like, oh, so they didn't do everything. And then you know that there's going to be a sequel.
Oh,
Or they shot the whole film and they're doing it in two parts. But
I don't love that.
you you're being sarcastic. I know that.
No, that doesn't sound good to me. I don't love the idea of like a standalone film about a person being a part one of a two-part. I don't like that at
Well,
all.
I mean, it's Michael Jackson's life, so like since it delved deep into, had a lot to do more with how Joe created Michael. So
Okay.
you got a lot of the Joe stuff, and it's like, so you're gonna have from when he's a kid to like when after Thriller. I mean,
Mm.
Thriller is like almost the end of the film because the film ends with how went on his own with Bad. Like there was no influence from anybody. Everything was on him, and then it ends with Bad, and it says, it doesn't say to be continued, but it's like, what does it say? Something like that. There's more of Michael Jackson, something like to come, but
Oh.
yeah. But I mean, I said because we all know that his whole child thing, and that's something that I wanted to see. But then I'm like,
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how you do a movie about Michael Jackson without including some of the kid stuff.
and that's what I'm saying. So, like it was very pro Michael Jackson in the
Sure.
aspect that it made it seem like, and again, I'm just saying, like, because of the way Joe treated him as a child, he never had a real childhood.
Sure.
So that's why he had more akin to children because he was a child trapped in a man's body. So I'm not going to lie, if they do a second half, do I feel like they're going to do it justice? Like, is it going to really be this hard hitting biopic? No. And that's why when you say, oh, well, that's kind of dumb, I agree because they'll probably sugarcoat it like and again, I know everybody is going to get mad at me for saying this, but I do believe that Michael Jackson may have been a child predator. But again,
oh, that's not a hot take. I think you're not alone in that. Yeah, that's
kind of. Oh my God, everyone's going to get me. But anyway, the point is like,
yeah. Oh no, you called an apple an apple.
It's going to be where that's exactly why Michael Jackson was very close to children because he was a child trapped in a man's body and he felt close to them because of that wonderment and everything. Sure. So whatever. So if they do a second part, which they made it seem like that at the end of the film, it's just going to be, more fluff. And it's funny because I'm hearing that a lot of the family didn't like the movie because of the way they portrayed them. And I was kind of like, I don't know why. It's a very puff piece. It wasn't, I mean,
it's not critical at all.
Coleman Domingo raised that whole thing about how abusive he was and all that. And he's such an amazing actor. But, I just felt like it still was very puff piece on Michael. You know what I mean? It's very, Michael's
it looks like the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, but of Michael Jackson. It looks like that kind of
I guess you could say
biopic
that, because,
where it's it's not critical at all.
Yes, agreed. Yes,
and I mean,
you're right.
I would compare it to the Elvis movie when that came out. Remember?
Oh, the one with Austin Butler and Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I didn't actually see the movie. I don't care to. It doesn't look great. That's not the point, though. Then you had Priscilla. Then you had the Priscilla movie, though, come out,
which I like better. I like that.
Oh yeah, me too. I think that's a more interesting. Regardless of whether or not you agree with whether or not he was a predator, I do think that's fascinating. That's it's a more daring portrait of that man that I think we hadn't seen, at least. That I think you do have the Leaving Neverland documentary on HBO.
Yeah, and the new one that just came out that they like really ripped up. The one on Netflix that just came out last week.
To at least have these like competing perspectives on that. Probably for financial reasons. They're like, hey, we might as well produce something that's going to be controversial and interesting right now. But yeah, I think ultimately you at least have those. So it's not like you need this movie to be that. But I do think it's a really unique. I don't know, man. It's a really strange way to do
it comes out on one of the streaming services next week, so you can watch it and tell me what you think. But yeah, it's like same thing with Star Wars. I just heard that it comes out next month on Disney. But that's the other movie that I think a lot of people just shat on it just to shit on it.
This is Mandalorian and Grogu, right?
Star Wars, Mandalorian and Grogu. I enjoyed it. And like always, every Star Wars film puts me back to the Harbor Movie Theater in Brooklyn in 1977, watching it with my cousins and my uncle.
Sure.
It's very what it is. And yes, it is 3 or 4 episodes put together, basically. I mean, it does feel like the show. But it was still good. It was enjoyable. It was fun. It was, Jon Favreau directed, so it still has that good feel. I like the way it opened, just like first season, and very westerny. But yeah, it was okay. I mean, do I see why it's not the biggest film in the world? Maybe, but yes, I mean, when we went to see it, it wasn't crowded, it wasn't packed. But I enjoyed it. I mean, basically, just like if you watch season one, it does fall in line with season one, and I know you dug Andor. I
Yeah, a lot.
There is a
Yeah.
lot. There's a lot of the which I kind of dig with the Empire and where the fragments of the Empire went. That's also a good story because if you're like me into the expanded universe, it gives you that thing where he's tracking down all these Imperial Empire bosses that ran Imperial destroyers, and that part is cool, but yeah, but I mean, it's not like like Rogue One or Empire Strikes Back, some of the greater Star Wars films. But I did enjoy it.
Would you put it more in like a category of something like Solo, where it's like it's totally
No,
fine and harmless,
no.
or
I
do you
mean,
not like that
I
at all?
the best part about Solo was the end when we saw Darth
Yeah,
Maul,
that's
and I
fair.
was like, holy shit! I like that stuff, but that never went nowhere because the movie, did horribly.
Well, that
But
was a weird production because they brought in
it
three different
was, yeah,
directors, and yeah, I mean,
Gordon Miller started it. They got
yeah,
fired, and then Ron Howard took over. But I mean, I would say you'd probably next month when it comes out on Disney Plus, you watch it, and like I said, because of the Andor, because I know you love Andor, I
I
do
do.
too. But I'm
Yeah,
just saying that that whole the conspiracies, the whole dark side, that that was presented, and I would like to see more of that. I would like to
yeah.
see the fragments of the empire where they're going and all that stuff. But
I mean,
that
it's
was
been received generally better than I thought. When I first saw
yeah,
the trailer,
agreed.
it looked like everything was on a soundstage, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But it's. I mean, I think you said everybody's bashing on it. I don't know that that's the case. I mean, there might be. I think generally, it's like I think it got like an 80%. I'd have to look at the
Oh, did it?
rating.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
it's
I mean,
doing
like
okay.
I don't. Again, I
Maybe
know
not
that
financially, but
what they've been doing with TikTok, and they'll show
oh, I'm
Obsession,
sorry,
and like all the seats are
62%.
sold out. You see Backrooms, all the seats are sold out, and you see Grogu and Mandalorian. There's like maybe like
It's
five
just not
seats vacant,
memorable.
and no one else is seeing it. But that's what like when we went. There was only maybe about 30 people in the theater, and a lot. I think I was enjoying it more. I didn't hear other people like laughing or cheering or whatever. So I just feel like maybe they need to go like in the Andor way, a darker feel for Star Wars. I think that would be good. I mean, I hear they're making Death Trooper. I don't know if it's going to be a show on Disney or it's going to be a film, but they're actually working on that. It's going to be the first Disney horror film or Star Wars horror film, and that should be interesting to see a darker side. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I thought
It's
it was
not a
okay.
complete train wreck and just totally,
Oh,
it's just
correct.
not as
Yes,
memorable as some of the more important,
correct.
installments in the, and that's not the worst thing, at least it's
No,
not
no,
like
yeah,
a,
yeah, yeah.
and we've only gotten, this is only like what, the first this year that we've actually had of theatrical Star Wars releases.
Yes, 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 yes,
I don't hate that, man, even if it's not like the best
yes.
thing ever. Like I like that this isn't the seventh installment. Like you're like,
Yeah, right.
whatever, it's harmless. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's not making the money that they thought it would. But a lot of that, I think, is because of Obsession and Backrooms. Uh,
Yes, yes.
I mean, I think you've had a lot of people flock to the theater for those two, which I think are far more interesting than anything
Oh
else
yeah, yeah.
that's out right now. You did see Scary Movie though before we get into
Yeah,
Obsession.
well, we already talked about Sheep Detective, and I like that. And
Oh yeah,
Breadwinner. I mean,
oh yeah.
are you a Nate Bagazi fan? I mean, I
I
know.
actually am. I think he is not the same. I don't think he's become more family friendly in recent
Yes,
years.
yes, yeah,
Not that he's always been a clean comic. I think he has two specials. Well, there's like a Netflix, the stand-ups
yeah.
shorter special that he did, and then his
Which
like,
which at the end of the film, instead of like like secret endings, they just showed his stand up, and I was like,
oh,
huh?
interesting.
Yeah, and
That's a great like 15-minute set though, and then he does I think it's the Tennessee Kid, his like first major Netflix special. I think is like
yeah.
a really really good special. I think it's like one of the tightest comedy specials in the past 10 years. It's so good.
I then because of that, I think I'll check that out.
The rest of
He came
them,
off like
take it or leave it.
yeah, no, I wanted to like the film. Like Rhonda wanted to see this movie, and I was like, you know what? Let me check it out because I know you told me about his stand-up a couple of years back. But you know what he comes off as? Like Tim Allen.
It looks like a cheaper by the dozen type movie where it's
Yeah,
like it's
and it's
fine. It's
like
for
Will
kids.
Forte is not good in it. It's like he does the same old shtick. And the girls are cute. I like the girls. Mandy Moore is not even in it that much. Uh, but it's just basic,
Sure.
comedy. And I was kind of upset because I want like at the end with the stand up, I was like, like you said, they weren't showing any of the like the R-rated materials more,
Well,
and that's
he's
why I was kind
actually
of like,
never had that though. That's never been his thing. Like he rarely
yeah.
even like curses in his specials.
Oh, okay. So then
He's
that
definitely
stuff,
more
yeah,
clean. Yeah, he's like
yeah.
Jim Gaffigan in terms of just
Okay,
the
okay,
yeah.
Jim.
So
Yeah, all
he's
right.
not like we went and saw Doug Stanhope on Monday, and like that's like the polar opposite. I love Doug Stanhope. But he's like, as vulgar as it gets. Yeah, Nate Bargatze's like he's like the golden child in comparison.
Okay, so
I
then
think
yeah, it's
he's become kind of like the clean comic. He's become the Gaffigan
the
style.
Gaffigan of okay. Well, let's
Yeah.
see what I mean. I don't know if his career is going to take off unless he does movies like this.
I mean, he sold out Madison Square Garden recently, so I think he's doing
Oh,
fine.
did he? All right,
But
well, good.
so did Tom Segura, who we watched one of his recent specials, and it's the one that we turned it off. It's one of the worst things I've seen. It's a guy who was so good. I mean, I saw him at the Improv like 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
Amazing. I mean, like this was like after he released, I think it's Mostly Stories was like his first special,
yeah.
um, and then he's just become a dad comic. Like it's just not
Oh,
like it's not
well,
that
that's
he's
what
not.
this movie
I don't know.
was like,
Yeah, yeah,
dad
yeah.
jokes, and I was like, all right, but and then Scary
Somebody
Movie,
cashed a paycheck is what it looks like.
yeah,
You know,
ain't
yeah.
that always the way?
I like
But
two of
yeah,
his specials. That doesn't mean that he won't make, just kind of
well, if he's
average
selling a
garbage.
Madison Square Garden, that's where his money's going. So that's
Yeah,
good. I'm
yeah.
glad.
This is a side hustle. Yeah,
Exactly. I was gonna say, yeah, and
he's
if it doesn't
flying a
take off, it's
private
okay.
jet around doing massive theater shows. I mean, he's doing. I'm
Yeah,
not worried about Nate Bargatze. He's doing fine.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying, yeah. But
Yeah.
the last movie before we get to the big ones, it's called Scary Movie or Scary Movie 6 or whatever you want to call it. Um, it was okay. They were good. Like the trailer kind of gives you everything. Um, there was a couple of things I did like. It did get meta in the opening, and it was okay. I want to see the next film with them, but I, I we're not gonna do spoilers, right? Well, you didn't see it, but
I haven't
it's
seen it,
just
but
it's just
yeah.
basic, and I didn't love it. It was just like watching the other ones, like 3, 4, 5, but with the original cast. So there was some, but the jokes, like with the Wayne brothers themselves, Sean and Marlon, that was the old retread. Like nothing new came out of that. I think Anna Faris and Regina Hall had better story built in, and they had more. But then after the first like act, Regina Hall was in the background. Like they put her so I don't know. And then like they introduced new characters, like like the whole meta thing about talking about Scream 5 and 6, and the whole legacy thing. And it's okay at parody, but I just didn't like. I felt like it was lackluster, and I mean, I was expecting better from the trailer, but the trailer was the film, so
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
I mean,
So
I've never. I think when I was like when I first was introduced to it, I think it was the fourth one, the Charlie Sheen one.
yeah, the trailer.
And those are, I mean, I don't care. I've never been a huge fan. I mean, so
Yeah,
I don't really, I have nothing riding on this one being good or bad. I think at this point, I'm just kind of like, I mean, whatever.
yeah.
I mean, parody comedy is one of the worst forms of comedy. It could be fine if you had actual jokes
Yeah, it
and
could be. Yeah,
comedic senios. I don't know.
I think Mel
I
Brooks
haven't.
does a good job of it, but yeah,
Yeah, I
other
mean,
than
there's
that,
the great of all time. Yeah, the
yeah,
one
right.
example of yeah. It's like sure, yeah, yeah. Mel Brooks does a good job. Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Spaceballs, and I mean,
Yeah,
I love
To Be or
you
Not to
know,
Be, there's
yeah,
the
Young
Nazi
Frankenstein.
genre. So yeah,
Young Frankenstein's not parody, but it is kind of parody in some
yeah,
way.
it's kind of Blazing Saddles, westerns, and
Yeah,
musicals. So but yeah, that was it. So other than that, then we could talk about the other films like that we've both seen. So
yeah.
which
So at
one do you
this
want to talk
point,
about first?
let's do a. Well, I don't care. We're gonna talk about both of them because they're both in
Yeah,
discussion
yeah,
right now. But let's start with Obsession.
yes.
I guess because we're going to do spoilers eventually,
Yeah.
why don't you give your brief overview thoughts on Obsession, and without spoilers, and then I'll do the same,
Okay.
and then
Yes.
we'll.
So without spoilers, this was a movie that I just, from the trailer and everything, I was excited to see. It was funny because when we went, it was me and Emma saw it the first time, and when we went in, I had just seen before we went that Curry Barker did like these YouTube short horror films, which when I read that, I was like, oh, I've seen these with Glow.
Oh, okay.
And I was kind of like, oh shit, no, I'm more impressed. Um, but yeah, basically, the film's about a schlub, a little core group of people, two guys, two girls. And this, schlub guy is in love with the prettier, popular girl. And, his best friend tries to say, listen, don't do it, don't do it. But he tries to ask her out one night after he buys her this little wish thingy. And then, as you see in the trailer, he wishes that she loves him forever. And that is not a good thing because, it's literally, the worst thing that can happen is someone love you more than you love them. And to a point where they're insane love. And, just one thing leads to another and it gets more crazy and violent as it progresses. And I guess that's my review. I really loved it. I think it's a great
Yeah.
film. And I guess you can give an overview and then we get
No,
try not
I
to
mean, yeah, I mean, ultimately, for those that haven't seen it, it's a good intro for it. I mean, I think I think it's the movie of the year so far, as
Yeah,
far as
yeah.
just, I mean, I don't know if it's like going to be on number one on my list or anything, but I think
No, 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 but yeah.
it's
So
just a banger genre film with
yes.
a really scrappy use of its budget and
Yes.
just a brilliant ideas. It's like it's almost it plays almost like a cringe comedy. Um, Mixed in with like
Yes.
elements of just straight slapstick, and it has such a uh just a mastery of the tone that it's going
Yes.
for, and a confidence that I think is really impressive from what's basically a debut feature, even though he's done a
Yeah.
lot of shorts.
Shorts.
I mean, I was just really, I just had so much fun. I love when a movie is aware of itself
Yes.
and just an example. I mean, there's the we're going to spoilers at this point, before I get into this,
Yeah.
but
Because yeah.
there's the car scene, which I think is fun. And you're sitting there. The audience is well aware of that something bad is going to happen. We've established that
The camera
uh,
has her window like
yeah,
so
yeah.
open, and
You're
I'm like, oh
so
my
you're
god,
so aware that
something's
that's
gonna come through that
yeah.
window.
It's but then it's one thing to break the window and smash the girl's face and kill her. It's
Face it,
another
yeah,
thing to then
amazing.
do it for 14 seconds straight, and it just is literally beating you over the head with its. I mean, it reminds me of one of my favorite scenes in Midsummer, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Where he smashes the woman's head and
head.
then just continues to beat it over and over and over, and it's just like it just is so. It's like I don't give a shit. This is what this movie is. This is rubbing your face in itself, and
But it's I because of that scene is another, and not to say because I'm a violent person, but I just love that he kept going and going
yeah,
because I agree
yeah,
with you. Most films they cut after like maybe a
yeah.
couple
It's just
seconds, but it's just
like we know what we're
wham,
doing.
wham,
Yeah,
wham until there's like nothing left.
and there's a point where everybody goes, okay, this is comedy at this point, and it's great. It's so great. I mean, I'm a
It's
huge fan of just comedic horror. I mean, in general, but
you
I
what
love. I just love when a movie is in control of its audience and really
yes,
like
yes,
even when it's terrifying, I think I'm just sitting there watching the movie work and admiring it for just being unafraid to really push the boundary of what of its ideas, and
yeah.
a
It's
perfect
funny
example. Oh, go ahead.
when you
Sorry.
mention the cringe, it's like the scene at the boys' night,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. It's
they're
one of my
playing the
favorite scenes.
Jenga game, and
Yeah.
I wish Emma was here. I'm literally like trying to like have Emma cover me because it's so cringe, and I'm like, but not because I expect anything bad to happen. Just like I'm like, oh my god, what is going
Yeah.
on? And Emma was laughing because we watched cringe TikToks on YouTube, and I just was doing the same thing. I was like, what the and that scene is so amazing. I love that
I
scene.
mean, it's there's two moments in it that for me are pure comedic slapstick, which is the moment where she grabs the chair and
Chair.
scrapes it on the ground. I mean, and the
Jesus.
smile in that scene, I think, are just
And
two
everyone's just
pieces of
staring
just
like,
pure,
what?
yeah, pure comedy. And then I
Yeah.
think the other one for me is the duct tape door. The reveal of the duct tape door is just, it's just so funny, man. It's
And
so, it's
and
just
he's playing it
taking,
so cool. She goes, "Oh,
yeah.
if you can't get the door open, maybe you should stay home." And he goes, "No, I got it. I got
And then to go and then I mean this is just it's like straight out of a like it's straight out of something like Scary Movie, but it's
it."
doing it
Yes,
better where
right.
he's trying to pull the door open while she's like, well, you could just stay home with
Stay
me if you
home
want.
if you can't get it
it's
open.
it's portraying a very typical, like, you've seen that scene in a million movies where
Yeah,
it's like a
exactly.
clingy
Yeah.
partner that's like, oh, but you should just don't go, you should
Don't
just
go
stay with me, I don't want to be alone. And then but it's just taking that concept and dialing it up to 11 and in
to
a way
11.
that's
Yes.
so, I mean, man, it's just so fun. And we watched, it was a packed theater.
Oh yeah.
I,
Every
I
time I've
also
seen it, it's been packed. Yeah.
I also think it establishes a sense of danger right off the bat
Yes.
with a
Yes.
scene that actually reminds me a lot of another film that does the same kind of subversive, just toying with its audience, which is Strange Darling, which I love.
Oh yes.
Um,
Yes.
but there's
Interesting.
there's a similar scene where they're engaging in sexual intimacy,
Oh
or at
yes.
least attempting to, and then
Yeah.
she like sees something and backs up, unexpectedly, and
Yeah.
there's a little bit of an audio sting that kind of makes it play harder, but ultimately it's like a really effective, like, oh, this is a very traditional sequence in which you would not expect for anything horrifying to happen, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden a switch is flipped, and I think it establishes a sense of danger right off the bat that I think makes for a more thrilling experience. I think it both handles the comedic elements and then also is masterful in its construction of the horror,
Yes.
and building tension. And yeah, I think the
I
most
mean,
interesting. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was gonna say I think it's interesting because we talk about and now hate, but I think it's like so effective jump scares within a film that doesn't have like the jump scare. Someone
Yeah,
jumping out at you, scare you. It's just this moment that you snap out of the film, like, oh shit, what's going on? Like her, what she does is she does it like
sure.
3 or 4 times, and I'm like, I loved it. It was like when we were talking about it afterwards, like we kept referring it to jump scare, though it's kind of not a jump scare, but it is. I thought it was really amazing.
Well, and I think the most, for me, for my money, the most interesting thing about it too is just the central idea of
Yeah,
which ultimately you've got this character Bear who no sane, rational person would stick around after the first night and the
serious, right?
duct tape incident, right? Like, which is just an indicator of how flawed the logic is of this character from the get go. Even when it's comedic and fun, and you're like, "What the fuck is wrong with her?" Right? I think like
But don't
clearly
you think
as
he feels guilty that he did that?
well, I think that's part of the arc, and I
Yeah,
agree. I think there's a point. I think it's the end of Act Two or something where
yeah, yeah.
there's a really great scene where he calls the company and tries to get him to redo it or
That
like
is an
change the
amazing
wish,
scene.
which is a great scene. And then there's a point where he's like, "Do you want to?" The guy's on the phone
He's
is
like,
like, "Do you want to talk to her?" And she just screams, and you're like, "Where is she?" Right? Like that's all of a sudden there's this there's this interesting, because I think for the first like half of the movie
yeah,
you're screaming at the screen saying leave this situation, although it's his fault, right? And I think
yes,
that's such a funny scene at one point in the film where she's like, no, this is actually all your fault, right, or something.
yeah,
um that's such a funny line. But then there's also there's so many characters in the movie that are like, you could just kill yourself, you could change, you
yeah.
could
Right. You just
all
kill yourself.
oh man, it's so funny. But ultimately, though, there's this the pivotal scene is when we discover that it's
Yeah,
not what she wants, where she's like,
exactly.
"Kill me! I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want
That's
to be
a great.
trapped in
Yeah,
whatever realm
creepy.
I'm in." Which I think is a really disturbing insight into what's going on with her that
Yes.
totally
Yeah.
shifts the dynamic of the
Yes.
situation, and it also it's a moment of realization that what he's doing is very wrong, and he is now
Yeah.
aware of it. And then all of
Yes.
a sudden, I think we realize that, like, I think his response to it is like, "What? It's so bad being me. You can't stand being with me, or something." Like it's like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
makes that
And
situation
that,
about him.
and I dug that. I kind of dug that. Like Gloriana brought it up. Like she was like, he may have, you know, stopped it, killed himself, or whatever. And then it's like he got all like butthurt, like you said. And then he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, what's so bad about being with me?" And it's like
sure.
he switches. All of a sudden, like he seems empathetic. He seems, and then also he's like, oh, and he walks off to go with this girl, but it's Sarah, and I'm like, that's a really interesting scene. It's like, yes, it's all about him, and that's how he makes it. But I thought it was like fucked up. I was like, oh my god, this guy's an asshole. Like, if he would have been, like in his own head, this could have all ended right there. But yeah.
Well, there's an interesting. I mean, I've followed some of the discourse surrounding the film. And
Yeah.
I shared this or in my notes here, a quote from. Do I actually have the person's name saved? No, I don't know. It's from the creepy catalog. I don't know who this is, but they basically are complaining about the perspective of the film being told through the man's perspective. Well, but there's an interesting idea here. I think this
Yeah.
person's incorrect in their opinion about the film's perspective.
Yeah.
I think the lead character is absolutely the villain in this movie. I
Oh
think
yeah, no, of course. Yeah,
whether or
yeah.
not his actions
Bear,
initially were intentional, I think I do think what he did was harmless at the very beginning, but like ultimately the refusal to resolve the situation, even if it's justifiable, I think his actions become increasingly undefensible as the film progresses.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely the intention of the film. I don't think this movie at all is saying that he is the good guy here. I think it's being told from his perspective.
That's crazy.
Ultimately, though, the quote here, just to give full credit to the person writing this before I critique it, is men inflict horror, women experience horror. Filmmaker Goldie Jones says obsession told the wrong character. There, Goldie Jones, the author of this idea, this opinion at least. They believe that obsession told the wrong character story. They said, can you imagine what obsession would have been like if the whole film was shown through Nikki's eyes as she was trapped in her own body and robbed of her autonomy? I agree that that's what happened, right? That she was trapped and did not have control over her autonomy.
Of course,
I agree. And then it says, is it really feminist horror if it centers the man who's inflicting the horror on the woman as he claims to love? I don't think that. People argue about Bear's full culpability precisely because we experienced the story from his perspective. I think that's the point, but that's a fair feeling to have, right? I think it's fair to look at this from a perspective of, it's inherently because he's our protagonist. We sympathize with his struggle, despite the fact that he's inflicting pain on this other person, right? I do think what's interesting about the film, though, is that perspective. I think we become complicit as an audience in his actions, inevitably because of the POV of the film. And I think it's more horrifying to have to fill in the gaps of what's happening to her, which is the true horror of the film. And in fact, the film ends with her inevitably probably taking responsibility for all of his actions, right? I think that says far more about the horror of the situation than I don't think the film would work I don't think
agreed. I agree with that. I agree with that. Because that was the conversation we had. Like I was like, this fucked up because now she's on the hook for all this shit, the murders and everything.
I mean,
and I'm like,
I would compare it to like if the movie The Thing, right? Like John Carpenter's The Thing. Like if I mean, ultimately, I guess we have had the film that shows what happened in the first initial outbreak. But I think what's more interesting in John Carpenter's version is we see glimpses of the initial outbreak at the other encampment, and then we get to fill our own ideas about what happened there. It's like lore. Alien is another example, right? Of these like uncovering the mysteries of what came before, or at least like just allowing us to use our imaginations to fill in the horror as opposed to showing us and this film does give you those glimpses. I think when he's on the phone and we hear her scream, that is horrifying, and it's an indicator that what he's doing is wrong. Like the film is never glorifying his actions at all.
I think that was kind of Lynchian, like in Lost Highway when he's on the phone and he gets to hear that on the phone. I was like, a little Lynch there, a little Lynch. But
there are. I actually think Backrooms has more Lynchian. But I do agree. There's some of that there. But yeah, ultimately though, like again, like it is a movie about a man controlling a woman for his own benefit, and then inevitably it ends in her life being ruined. It's the most horrifying ending. It's definitely. But anyway, I just think I think the idea of showing it through his perspective in order to make us complicit in his actions, and I think that's just morally more interesting to me
Yeah.
than anyway, that's just my perspective, but I
No,
do
no,
think
no.
it's
I
fair to
agree.
view it as like a,
Yeah.
as like oh, it's being told through the man's perspective. That's fair, but I think that was the point.
Agreed. Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know, who knows. Anyway, it's but I do love it though, and I think
Yeah. It's my favorite film
it's
so
just a
far this
really
year. Yeah.
fun, it's just a fun, effective, scrappy, relentless horror comedy that I just can't wait to see what else this guy's got.
Oh yeah, definite. Yeah.
And I have to say, I mean, without get that would can take us into Backrooms. I think I feel the same way about Backrooms. I don't quite love it as much. I think it's got
Yeah. I
some
don't
script
either, but
problems, but
yeah.
I'm still really excited to see what this 20-year-old has to I didn't even write down his name. I've seen so
Yeah.
much about
Me
horror
too.
when I get their
I
names
saw it
mixed
this
up.
afternoon, and I was like, "That's his name," and he gets.
Yeah. But he's 20 years old. He made
Yeah.
Backrooms, which I think is a technical, and this is a different scale of production
Yes.
entirely. He also comes from the YouTube background. I think he
Yeah.
had made some shorts of
Yeah.
like in this realm of like of the Backrooms. I don't know enough about all
Yeah.
that. We've talked
Yeah.
about it a little bit.
Basically, he did short films based on the game, and they're really good. That I saw with Emma. Emma loves Backrooms, but that was the other thing. It was like, they hated the film because of the lore, and I wasn't big on the lore, like like Five Nights at Freddy. Like Emma knows everything back and forth about the lore, but I mean, without knowing that, I mean, I still enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy for what it was.
Mhm.
This one too, I kind of enjoyed it for what it was, but they hated it because they didn't do anything like the lore. So like, being YouTube kids growing up watching YouTube, they kind of felt betrayed.
That's fair.
Um, but I mean, afterward, it's funny because we sat down in the theater, we just stood there, and we just, I asked her, I said, "Well, tell me about the lore," and they were going on and on about it, and I was in my head, I was kind of like, "Well, I mean, everything you're telling me doesn't really affect me watching this movie," so I thought that was good about it, but I also felt like I guess you were heading at like it starts off really strong. The other thing they mentioned was like the whole I don't know what you call them, shadow people who are watching all this on their video
Mhm.
cameras.
Yeah, they well, we have some insight as to what it was a organization that manufactured some kind of product, and then at some
Product.
point they got a government. They found the Backrooms.
Yeah,
They discovered this thing, and then there's a shot where we see Mark Duplass's like he's at home and he
yeah,
sees you. It shows that they were like awarded some government grant, so we assume
right.
there's some kind of federal involvement in their research. That's about all we know, though.
Yeah,
From
and
my
it
understanding.
adds. That's why I told her it's kind of sci-fi with
Yeah.
that portion, and I guess they didn't like that either because my girls don't like science fiction. But I kind of like that they built on the lore to add more substance, and I would like to know more about this. I forgot the name of the company, but I would like to know like more Mark Duplass's company, and like, and then like the ending, which is ambiguous, but like he said, yeah, I survived the Backrooms too. Now I work for them. So we don't know what's going to happen to the therapist, but I kind of like the opening. You get that Blair Witchian
Mm.
first person camera, and then monster gets the guy, and then we see the TV, we see that there's people watching, and then we get to the story of Clark, guy who's recently been separated from his wife. He has this
Because he's
dying.
an asshole, probably.
He is. I mean, yes, we do get that later,
We are doing full
but
spoilers. Spoilers at this point.
yeah, and I love that scene, the whole scene at the end too with the therapist when they redo the role play. But yeah, he ends up living at the store. He's resenting his wife for throwing him out of his house, and he's having a lot of electrical issues. And one night he finds out that this whole back rooms thing is why he's having electric issue, and he goes through the wall, and he's in this labyrinth of weird ass Salvador Salvadorian Salvador Dali's oh yeah, what's his name? Salvador Dali's weird angle type
Oh,
MCS or
yeah, MC Escher
MCS and
esque
S and
world.
he gets he and then he's it's starting to he's obsessed over this, and he brings in his two workers to help him, and that's where the movie kind of really begins into like the horror aspect of these back rooms.
In a very good sequence, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think that's
I dug
really
that. Yeah,
strong. I think there's a moment in that where he's climbing down the pit, which is a
yeah, well,
good, just a good tense sequence. And then
tense. Yeah, I love it. I
I
love
think
that.
when he discovers the monster and then climbs back up, and then there's like they all get like tossed down with him. I think is just a great way to like progress the horror and tension
Yeah,
in the sequence. I think that's really fun. And then I think there's a moment where they're like running through the halls and seeing all the different rooms. I'm like, this is
rooms. Yeah,
cool. This is really. I mean, I think I was really impressed by the scale of all that.
yeah,
Uh, in that sequence, and it was just that was really fun. I mean, I think the movie is more successful at establishing just a general tone and
tones.
atmosphere, which is, I mean, ultimately what Backrooms is entirely based off of is a feeling, right? It's like this liminal space of like nothing, like emptiness or just
Emptiness. Yeah,
sprawling foreverness, right? I think it's hard to develop a film based on just a feeling. I think the movie does achieve that,
yeah,
but
it
then it
did. It
also
actually
has
did.
to be a film. It has to have a narrative structure, and you know, you've got to give it some story. You have to have something happen in the film.
Yeah,
That's how these things work, you know. And I think it does a pretty good job overall of that. I think for me,
overall.
there's some gaps in his devolving nature in the back rooms. Like there's like I
Yeah,
think it's like in the second act. It's like the stuff that happens off screen before the therapist shows up in the back rooms.
shows
I
up.
think
Yeah,
is
that I agree
there's a
with you. I
leap.
wanted to see more of that. Yeah,
Like
because that feels like they cut out a section to like fast forward the film to the ending.
where maybe
Because I
he's
said the same thing. I was
experimenting in the
telling,
back rooms and he's like discovered. I mean, there's some jumps like that in the film where we through his lines of dialogue assume that he's been exploring and
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to understand this place and that's
yeah,
all interesting to me. I think you
yeah.
can't
I
show all
agree.
of that, but I do think the character there's a gap in the arc of that character where all of a sudden he's kind of a monster and while he was
Yeah.
kind of a shitty person before, I don't know that I buy him going like full apocalypse now, you know, like I just don't. I think there's just a leap in the
I
arc there.
agree. I
But for me
agree.
personally, I think
Yeah.
that just kind of lost me. Where I was like, I don't understand why he wants to kidnap her. Full. I don't think that really makes yeah, a lot of. He's like, I understand him wanting her to help him, but she's also there to
Well,
help
yeah,
him.
that's what I was saying. It was like the scene at the end where we do the role playing parallel scene. That's what I was saying. Like, is this like a positive or a negative? I was like, is he doing this for her to help him? But then it's established that no, he's not. So I was kind of like, well, then, why then?
Well, I
But
think it comes across as though he wants her advice and wants to do
but
the role play. I mean, and yeah, whether or not he's going to take it is entirely
yeah,
one thing.
that's what I'm
But
saying. So
that's what the motive. But what I don't
but then again, he's
understand
an
is like,
asshole of a person anyway. So yeah, I guess yeah,
yeah, but like she comes there on her own volition to come and try and help him because she thinks that he's off his rocker is really
off
what
his
it
rock.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It
it's
is.
not like she's there with ill intent. You know,
Agreed.
I don't fully buy the jump that he has to like knock her out and tie her to a chair in order to get her
Agreed.
help.
Agreed. I
This doesn't
agree
make
with
any
that.
sense.
I didn't understand that either. Yeah.
So for me, I think, but I like the sequence. I like
Yeah.
that
Yeah. No. No. No.
scene.
It was really
I just don't
creepy.
know that the movie earns that scene
Yeah.
narratively. That's where I have some issues with it. But
Yeah.
all that to say, I love the monster,
Yeah. That was
and I think
cool.
that's where some
I thought
people, I believe, the lore doesn't have like a specific
a
monster, right?
specific.
Isn't
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
um,
It's there are two monsters in it, or as I must say, entities they're called in the game, and these two entities are more like monsters, shadowy, whatever. So I guess they added that, like when he said this place makes copies of people and they're wrong.
but see, I
Um,
think that's like what like it's I think that's more the concept though. It's not a specific monster. It's more like it's like churning out what was and then kind
Well,
of
yeah,
spitting
yeah,
out
that's yeah. He
something
does, yeah, yeah.
that's
That is
more
the
like
sense.
yeah that's it's like they have that line that gets repeated where it's like just it's just it's the what is it the creation of the idea of something if you ask
And
somebody to draw something based on
for the
memory or
dog,
whatever
if they've never
yeah
seen a
I forget
dog
the line.
before, you ask the droid, like, well, what do they do? Yeah,
Like I feel like that describes the feeling and the concept of what the space is pretty well, though. It's like
yeah.
it's kind of just churning out a weird replicated version of reality, and then it's slowly getting further and further from the truth of that
From the
reality.
truth. Yeah, I like that.
Um,
Yeah,
that's at least from my perspective what's happening, and I think that's interesting, really interesting. I just think visually it's really impressive. I think that the
Yes.
performances are very, very strong, and you've got two very good actors, and
Yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. I always forget how to pronounce
Yeah.
his name. And
Yes.
Renate Rensve is just great. I mean, they're both really good, but it's you got that helps as a young director, getting really fantastic actors to star in your film.
Academy Award nominated
Yeah,
people.
I
Yeah.
mean, but I do still think though,
Which I was
like,
kind of like, holy cow, how do you get these people to be in this film?
dude, yeah, I
But it
know.
worked. It's
Uh,
amazing. They were really
yeah,
good.
but I just think the execution of its concepts and again, other than a few kind of tightening of the script, I think overall it's a really effective. It feels entirely original, even though it's
Yes.
based on kind of a general, and
Yeah.
that's not even an intellectual property. It's I guess some of the games might be, but it's almost like a creepy pasta. It's kind of like
Yeah, I was gonna say
SCP
with
or
Five Nights at Freddy, it's like if they only did the lore, it would have been 10 times better. But with this film, it's the fact that he did the concept of the idea and fleshed it out the way he did. I think it's so much better because as the girls are telling me lore, I was kind of like, I don't want. This is better, I mean,
this feels
compared
more
to that.
personal to me than
Yeah,
like just a
yeah,
big monster. It feels like a regurgitation of all of your nightmares to some degree. It's like a really
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I mean, again, maybe I'm wrong about what's literally happening in the film. I mean, I've only seen it once. But
Well, me too.
I do like the organization, kind of
Yeah,
like the
I did like the
SCP.
sci-fi aspect too. I do like that, and I want to see more of that. I mean, talk about like a universe like
Mhm.
Freddy, Five Nights at Freddy. Because of this organization, we could do other things with it.
Sure.
If you want to do a whole like the Conjuring universe, whatever. With this, they could do that. I kind of dig that for A24 to have some type of little universe on their own with
Like
these films.
anthology. I don't
Yeah,
want
so,
them to connect, but I am interested in like so I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
we
exactly.
when
Yeah,
we talked about Exit 8, we talked about SCP and
yeah.
how the Backrooms is not I don't know if it's actually part of SCP
Uh-huh.
lore or it's just all kind of a creepy it's not like there's like a structure
A structure. Yeah,
but
yeah,
SCP though is kind of like an organization that's investigating these like anomalies. I
yeah.
think
No, yeah.
Backrooms fits right into that concept. I don't know
Yes. Yeah.
but yeah, I think I like this genre, and I really
Yeah.
like the tone of this, and I think it's a very impressive debut for I
Agreed.
mean,
Yeah.
I don't think people truly understand how impressive it is for a
Oh,
20-year-old to make a movie
I'll
this
tell
good.
them. No, I
Um,
agree with you. It's like, and with Obsession too, it's like when you realize that these guys, their start was on YouTube,
yeah,
and almost like Iron Lung with
yep,
the other guy, Mark the Plier. That
or
was another
Barbarians,
movie from
Barbarians.
YouTube, and then he blew up, and so but
Zach Kreger was from
Zach
that
Kreger
background
also,
too.
yeah, you're right. He was on
I mean,
the whitest kids you know. I
you've
mean,
got I mean, it's a great time for movies. I mean, the fact that these movies are making as much as they are and like
yeah.
they're getting people to
I'm
the
glad.
theater,
Yeah,
they're good, first of all, which you just love to see. I mean, I love to go and see an original idea on
yeah.
screen. And I mean, like again, the people you just mentioned, I didn't see Iron Lung, but I was kind of curious about it. But
Yeah,
still, just the
it's
other
on
three alone.
YouTube now. He released it on YouTube, so you can watch
But
it
yeah,
there.
like Obsession, Backrooms, Weapons, Barbarian. Like you've got just these
Yes.
like really brilliant, fun movies that are just they're getting people to the theater. And even though like I mean, when we watched Obsession, there were people and at Backrooms, I think were they're just in a really annoying group of younger kids at the theater. But I'm like, I'm glad they're here though. I'm glad that people
Yeah.
are
No, no,
coming
I
like
agree with you. I
hey,
see what you're saying. Yeah.
it's nice I mean, can't tell you the last time I went to a packed screening of something like
Yeah. Agreed.
before some of these movies, and that's great to see. And again, I think these movies are great, and they're making
Yeah.
a ton of money, and they're outperforming profit percentage wise
Profit.
movies
Yeah. Like
like
Disney.
Mandalorian, and I think
So
that's good for movies. Like I
yeah,
think
I agree with you there. I mean, it reminds me of 30 years ago when Tarantino, Rodriguez, everybody was coming out, and the
Kevin
whole
Smith,
indie
yeah,
film craze started. It's like that, but like with the whole Gen X or whatever you want to call them, millennials starting to like make these films they start out on YouTube and now they're being these big time directors. And A24, they got a good one with this kid, and same thing with Obsession, with Curry Barker. And it's yeah, I think it's a renaissance. Let's see. There might be a lot more good stuff to come. So I'm very
and the
excited.
reality is like for the studios, I mean, this
Oh
movie
yeah.
it's on pace to make like $300 million or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Made for
yeah,
750K. I mean, there's like
yeah,
no risk there. I mean, if you
yeah.
give 15 filmmakers $1 million, and if you get one that wins at the box
Mhm.
office, then from a studio perspective, it's a
Yeah.
win. So I
Yeah,
think
when I heard about what's her name, Indira Navarette, the one from Obsession, uh, she only got paid $20,000 for this movie, and it's already making close
yeah.
to 500 million. I'm like, oh my god!
And that's an interesting conversation. I think the just about the lack of percentage back end for a lot of
Yeah,
these artists,
I know.
unfortunately. But that's just greedy
Yeah, yeah. Well,
capitalism for you.
what are you gonna
Um, yeah, what are you gonna do?
do?
I mean, they could certainly argue
I'm
that the
just
movie wouldn't
saying.
have
I
been
mean, what
made,
are
but
you
I
gonna
agree.
do?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I don't know what you do.
2026. Look at the world we live in.
I mean, ultimately, I do hope that these movies at least result in more movies for these
Yeah, of
artists.
course. I agree with you,
Yeah,
and I'm
which
excited about it. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
But I mean, the reality is just really fun month of cinema,
yeah.
and just a great refreshing batch of stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that we had enough to talk about that
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
of us have seen, and
Yeah.
glad to be back doing the show in a new
Amen.
space. And I know this wasn't the most
I
prepared
missed it, and I
episode.
missed you, brother. I was like, well,
Oh, of
I gotta talk
course.
to Jeremy.
Yeah, we'll have
Every when I'm
to.
working overtime, my boss is like, "Oh, you're not going to do the podcast with Jeremy?" And I'm like, "No, he's moving. He's got a lot of things to do." But even my boss is like, she talks about you, and she's like, "Oh,
That's
how
funny.
was the move? How's everything?"
Yeah, we're back, and I think hopefully it'll be. I mean, the summer is always easier.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprisingly busy currently, but part of that's the move. But still,
yeah,
summer is just it will slow down. There's no way
of
that it's
course.
gonna
Yeah.
stay busy most of the summer. So I think I'll be able to produce these more consistently. We haven't
Good,
decided
good.
what we're gonna do next week. I don't know what's out currently that we could both go see. My Plex is
Yeah.
back up and running too
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
officially,
was going to ask
and
you. Yeah. Okay, good.
I have finally have a real internet, which you love.
Yeah, that's right. What do you have now? Infinity?
Yeah, it's Xfinity.
Yes.
Yeah, I still need to get. I'm getting a hardwire input like next week. They're gonna
Okay,
come by
good,
and,
good.
and
They're
install
good.
an
I don't
Ethernet
have
port.
problems with Xfinity. They're really good. They're good.
Yeah, I mean it isn't fiber though, which
No.
I initially had Frontier. I was going to sign up for Frontier Fiber, and they were like, "Yeah, we got to come run a line." I was like, "No,
Yeah,
you
you
can't. You
tell them.
can't just run a line." And then I canceled it because of that, which I don't, I just was like, I just can't do it. The landlord
Yeah.
said no. And then I find out I'm mowing the lawn the other day, and I find out that they literally had ran it already. I don't know if it was previous to me signing up
Yeah,
or
the guy before you. Yeah.
and so there's literally a fiber cable on my wall, right on the other side of this wall right here that I'm facing. And I'm like, man, it would have been
Oh, you
nice to
already
know
had a
that.
2-year contract with Xfinity, so
Yeah, it's a 5 year, I think.
5 year?
I don't
Holy
know
cow!
if there's got to be an opt out at some point, but I think you have you have at least I think you
Yeah,
lock the
because
price in for
I think
5.
they told Rhonda you have 2 years before you can back out.
That might be what it
But
is.
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But
I mean,
well,
it's not really. I mean, right now it's working fine
yeah,
as
yeah,
far
it's
as I
fine.
know.
Yeah, yeah. So that's good.
Um, but yeah, definitely glad to be in the new space though. We'll have to have you all over one of these days. We've got
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a
No,
few
take your
more like
time.
projects to do, but I think
Yeah,
I think that by the end of next week, Marissa's going out of town at the end of next week. I think we'll hopefully have like everything kind of,
yeah.
back to normal
Where's
at
she
least.
going?
She's going to Austin for a concert.
Oh, okay.
It's like on a Monday. I don't know I
She's
forget what
performing.
artist. No. She's
Oh,
just
she's going to
attending a
see.
concert
Okay,
for
I got
an artist that it's a pot. You would know the artist. I forget who it is. Anyway, I don't listen to the artist. So I don't remember. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna stay
Well,
home
that's
and
cool.
be a cat dad. But
Cat
anyway,
dad.
we by then we should have most of the stuff set up.
Yeah.
And I do have a wedding that weekend, but we'll have to find
Like I
a day
said,
one of these days and have y'all over.
yeah, cool, cool.
Uh,
July, bro.
yeah, oh yeah, we've got. I mean, summer slows down eventually. So
Yeah, yeah.
once we're
Cool.
settled in, it'll be smooth going. So,
Yeah.
but
All right.
anyway, thanks for doing this, and glad to be
Yeah, no,
back.
thank
And
you. We had a good time. I love talking about film, and Obsession is one of my favorite films right now. So.
yeah, it's fun when there's good movies to talk about too.
Yeah,
That's
right.
always a good thing. But yeah, anyway, that's it for Indecisive Cinema episode 57.
57. Well, I was Carlos Hernandez,
I'm Jeremy Knight.
and I'll see you guys on the next one. You guys take care. Bye.